those windows just created such a beautiful view. You could sit at the table and look out and see the river. Anna would set a beautiful table, her beautiful blue and white dishes. She always told me to come in time for lunch. And every lunch was like Thanksgiving. It was amazing. You know, she fixed so many dishes, and everything was, of course, from their garden, and it was incredible. They were lovely. One time I was covered in mud, and I came to the door and knocked, and I said, I've got to take my boots off out here. You know, I'm covered in mud. And Anna said, come in, come in. She said, I'll clean you up. And she grabbed a broom, which was right here. And she just went to work on my shoes and cleaned me up. I just thought that was the sweetest thing, because Anna always looked like a model, like a classic Vogue model. You know, she always had on the beautifully clean, spotless white blouse and the nice black slacks, which were neatly pressed. I mean, I was just in awe of her and the beauty that she brought to this place. She always invited me to come in time for lunch. She always said, come back so that you can be here for lunch. So she would set the most incredible lunch table. I think I mentioned to Joe on the way up, it was always like Thanksgiving. It was a feast. And we would sit at this table, and she would have different, you know, she had the beautiful blue and white dishes. She had different things to eat. I was served groundhog one day, and, you know, I was a college student. At that time, I was borderline vegetarian. I had just had the experience with Vince Kohler and Dave Ward of having a pizza with anchovies on it, and could not take that. I've never been able to tolerate really bones on my plate. And so they served me what I know was probably the best cut of the groundhog, and she put it on my plate, and I took a little bite, and I said, you know, I don't eat a lot of meat, and I just can't take care of the bones and things. And she said, that's okay, Flo. And she scooped it right up, and she put it on Harlan's plate, and we went right on. I mean, she was the most lovely hostess. She was just incredible. And this was her domain. Harlan. And I can remember there was, in the cupboard, there was a mirror. Mm-hmm. And that's where she would fix her hair. Because I was pretty shy about invading their privacy. I didn't want to take a bunch of pictures. I didn't want them to feel like I was always holding up a camera and documenting them. I just wanted to blend in and do the project and get to know them as well as I could. But I did need a couple of pictures of them for my project. I had to create a slide tape presentation as part of the grant funds. And so I would ask, you know, could I get a picture of you and Harlan today? And Anna would always say, not today. And finally, it was getting to the end of the project, and Harlan said, Anna, Flo needs it for the project. And she said, okay. And she came in, and she went to that mirror, and she fixed her hair. And of course, she already looked beautiful. So it was just interesting to me that, you know, just like any of the rest of us would do. We'd go to the mirror first and fix our hair. So she went and fixed her hair, and then we sat outside. I think it was right out here on the patio, and they sat together, and all of a sudden, Harlan had a copy of Payne Hollow right beside him for the picture. I just loved it. Of course, it was perfect. You know, it was perfect for those pictures. So, one time I was hiking back up with Dr. Bob Rosenthal and a philosophy class, and Bob said, you know, some art student, wink, Flo, because I was an art student, he said someone should be cataloging Harlan's paintings while there are still so many here in Payne Hollow. And I didn't hesitate. I said, I'll do it. How do I do that? And, you know, I didn't have any experience with cataloging or photographing art, but I had the desire to spend more time with the Hubbards, and anything I could do to spend more time with them. The paintings that I cataloged were all owned by other people. Well, not all of them. Some were here at Payne Hollow, but many of the pieces that I cataloged that were owned by others have changed hands maybe one or two times since then, so I don't know where they are. I was talking to Jessica yesterday about that. It's like, gosh, I photographed some beautiful steamboat paintings that were all framed in gold. Where did those go? I can't imagine to have been a part of their lives and played a small role in helping preserve Harlan's art. Yeah, so it's a bittersweet moment, but I'm happy to be back and to see Payne Hollow and to see a group of such dedicated and passionate people that are being inspired by the Hubbards all over again and taking care of this beautiful place. So that's the best. Yeah. There was a lovely story about one of the paintings, and the owner's name was C.W. Stoll. I have no idea if Mr. Stoll is still alive. Passed on.
No.
Okay. He was the captain of the Belle of Louisville. So anyway, I go to see Mr. Stoll. I'm working in Louisville until sunset today. I got a lot of pictures taken. In all, I went to 6 different homes. First on the agenda was C.W. Stoll. In the fog, his wife greeted me at the door of their 12-columned mansion. I was very impressed. They're a vivacious couple. Mr. Stoll pilots the Belle of Louisville and is quite learned about boats. C.W.'s first encounter with the Hubbards was an unusual and delightful one. Mr. Stoll had, of course, heard talk about the Hubbards, and being a riverman himself, and through the grapevine somehow, he had heard that the Hubbards enjoyed Brahms. Have you heard this story, Jessica? Yeah. And one day, C.W. wanted to cheer up the day because the town of Madison had been in mourning because the mayor had passed away. And C.W. asked what hollow the Hubbards lived in. And he pinpointed what he thought was the right hollow and where he thought the Hubbards lived. And as the bell drifted by the hollow that day, C.W. played Brahms. Well, C.W. wrote to Harlan to ask him if he'd heard him and recognized that the bell was playing Brahms. And he promptly received a postcard back in the mail from Harlan saying, "We saw her go by in all her glory, but nary a peep was heard. You must have serenaded the wrong hollow." Well, the next time C.W. piloted the bell down that way, he identified Payne Hollow in what he thought was the proper location. And he serenaded them with Brahms and had all the passengers on the boat wave to the Hubbards. And Anna, they could see Anna on the deck waving at them, and Harlan was down on the shore waving a big pole with a flag on it to relay their greetings. Well, the Hubbards must have surely enjoyed C.W.'s efforts, because 2 weeks later, on the Stoll's front porch was a package wrapped in brown butcher paper, and C.W. discovered that Harlan had sent him a painting of the Belle of Louisville passing Payne Hollow, and in the painting there's also a John boat, and in that John boat, Harlan's waving hello.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't you love to receive a package like that in the mail? So, I just love that story. And then, of course, when I was working on this catalog, I would come and sit at the table here with Harlan and Anna, and they were almost encyclopedic in their memory of people and who had paintings. And his hands were large, and his fingers were kind of gnarled, knobby. And it was quite obvious, he worked hard with hand tools and things like that. And in the journals, he says, it's amazing that I can paint something that looks like this or something delicate when I have hands that are so big and masculine. And I can speak to those hands, but those images of Harlan rowing and gardening, he was just all muscle. Just incredible.
Like his life, nothing was extra.
Yes. And Ranger always greeted me. Ranger was here, and Ranger, of course, caught groundhogs, and so they regularly appreciated those groundhogs, and Ranger always got his share. Ranger always got a piece of the groundhog. One time I was here shortly after Harlan's birthday, and I had, in my college dorm baking abilities, I had made an applesauce raisin cake, and I brought the cake down. Well, Anna just lit up. She was such a she was a social person, you know, and she was so excited, and she just made it a party then. And we had the birthday cake, and there was a piece, of course, given to Ranger too. So it's sweet. Yeah. Yeah. I think in one of the journals, you know, it says Harlan's, they spoil them, and if not spoiling them, why would you have them? You know, a dog owners here understand that completely. If you aren't enjoying them and spoiling them, why would you have them? But yeah, but Ranger had a job to do too, and he caught the groundhogs, which is important because groundhogs can undermine a structure and steps and things like that. And the garden. And groundhogs made good eating. They're clean meat. Groundhogs are vegetarians, and so they made very good use of that. Yeah. And reading Shanty Boat and other journals of Harlan's, I didn't know groundhogs could swim, and that they would be in the river sometimes, and and the dogs would chase them ashore and catch them. So the dogs were always an important part of their life, and they had their own jobs to do, I think. Visits. I said, Mr. Hubbard, Harlan has the most interesting pair of shoes. They're tennis shoe soles with ropes and pieces of burlap tied across the top. And it was like, wow, he made those shoes himself. And he was wearing those around one day. I imagine those were helpful if it was muddy.
Yeah. Right.
You know, but very often he was barefoot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Interesting stuff. Very impacted by Harlan and Anna. The lifestyle, the artwork he promoted, all of that from the time that he met them. He was, you know, Harlan Hubbard was his hero, and Bill was Harlan's champion. He championed Harlan Hubbard values everywhere he went. Bill was a library director for over 40 years and built libraries with sustainability in mind and access to everyone to books. Made sure every library had Hubbard books and Hubbard art. At the library, I was the arts director, and our programming was called the Harlan and Anna Hubbard School of Living, and it was based on the philosophy, we can make our life a work of art, and that was something that Harlan advocated, making your life a work of art, living in harmony with nature, making life beautiful. They did that without modern conveniences. They did it, which was incredible.